All right. Hey folks, how you doing? My name's Brockens. I'm the I don't know what I am, but I'm on the team that made the Colonial Charter mod and all the updates for it. I helped plan it. I don't do any of the modeling or anything, but I've done some sprites and things, and generally know how it works and why we decided to do the things that we did and what they are. So I was thinking, and I posted on Reddit, and some people replied, and thank you very much to those people. And I might take this opportunity to actually thank the community as a whole because your response has been incredible to the mod. There's like 30,000 subscribers on Steam. We've got tons of downloads on Banished Info, lots of great comments. People have been joining our forums, our website, giving us even more ideas, helping us refine things we're already doing, testing things. It's just been such a community effort that I would be remiss not to thank all of you before we get started here. But I think what I'm going to do is just do a let's play. And I've watched several of these recently. I've seen Wednesday Wares, I've seen Biffa's, I've seen Quill's, I've seen Timmy's. That one was great. He was the first guy to actually play through the original Colonial Charter. I think even pre-Turbo. Maybe not. But he did a great job, and a lot of people were interested in the mod because of the Let's Plays. And let's face it, this is a complex game with a lot going on. It helps to see other people play it once in a while to kind of figure out what you're not doing right or even to get ideas. And I've gotten a lot of my ideas from other folks who've done Let's Plays. So I got Banished here. A quick look at the mods that I'm using. I use increased resources, and it's purely, I don't know, aesthetic. I don't use it when I'm developing or beta, clearly, but when I do full games, I really prefer to not have to reap so much destruction on the environment. I like my towns to be quite lush, and I find that that's a good way to do it. Plus, it helps me concentrate on what I'm really trying to do, which is build nice towns that are, justified in their design. I've got our latest beta, actually. Throughout this video, you may accidentally see new stuff or stuff that's not finished. Today's December 12th. I'd like to get our update with all this stuff in it out before Christmas. I think that's what we're aiming to do. Again, I don't do the models, so I can scream and yell all I want, and it's not going to make it get done faster. But yeah, this has a lot of new stuff and some fixes, and we've changed some things that we've heard are complicated from the community. But we'll take a look at what's different when we get into the Let's Play. I changed some of the sounds. I do more terrain. It gives me more options. I like lakes and things. One to one. That's a controversial mod. Some people are like, "Man, that's nuts. How do you manage to play a whole game like that?" And whatever. It's personal preference. Honestly, I do it because I like my towns to develop at a slower pace, and I like how it adjusts for you. So there's a long time where you don't have enough labor to do things, and I think that's important. Part of the Let's Play you'll see are my strategies for dealing with that type thing, and the difficulty that introduces. Better season reports. I like having the actual January, February, March, up there. Makes it clearer to me when to do certain things. I'm going to leave flattened terrain on. It's something I normally use when I'm beta testing. But I've seen Peng, particularly on our forums, do some incredible stuff with docks and this thing. Although I've messed with it a lot, and it can be screwy, and it can be permanent, and I've dumped towns because of mistakes I've made with this sucker. So we're going to be real careful. And then debug menu because I don't want to have to end the Let's Play or whatever prematurely because something in our beta screwed it up and I can't. Everyone died or whatever. So we're gonna leave that lifeline in there, and if we need to, we'll use it to make this more fun to watch. So wow, I've droned on for 4 minutes without even starting the game. We should probably do that. I'm just gonna leave the settings on that I played at my last town, and we'll call this I don't know, Saint Buckets. Why not? St. Buckets. This is our colony of St. Buckets, and we're going to use this larger size, which I like. Fair mid-climate. I always do hard, and this may be a good time to mention I have a house rule where I don't order seeds or animals from the trader. Um, Disasters I'm going to leave off. I don't. Ain't nobody got time for that, right? No, I know a lot of you play with disasters and diseases and things like that, and that's fine. If you have it off, you still actually can get nomad diseases, so it's still something you have to consider. I just don't like fires screwing up all my crap when I worked like 2 days to get it all set up with little fences and trees and things. So, and hopefully throughout this Let's Play, we're going to do some of that. We're going to go through kind of our decorational items and the justification for those, and how I use them. So let's see what we got here. So I suppose step one is to talk about why I use the screen layout that I do, and why I think it's important that people take advantage of the tools that Luke gave the players to manage their resources. I don't like to have any of these closed. These stay open all the time. And this section here on the left is for the storage cart at first, then your central barn once you get that up and running. And I always remove the storage cart because it just complicates things beyond what I want. It doesn't hold a lot. And then once I get my first market in, I switch that over here. And then once I get the town hall in, we switch the inventory graphs over here. So that's kind of how I do that. I like to know exactly how much food I've got, of what kinds, what chains are working, what chains are not working, what I've got labor for, what they're doing. And I like to see the food graph, which I learned from watching Let's Plays. You can kind of predict that you have enough for an upcoming season. So let's check out our starting position here. Looks like we got a big lake. Some sweet little islands. Man, that's going to be fun building out there. I think the trader will come through this lake and through this river that we're kind of on the south side of. So what we might do, and this is an important thing to consider when you're starting up, is, you know, where am I going to go first? Where's my first forest hub going to be? I need to have a trading post up relatively quickly with this being hard mode. Also, your first fisherman is quite important as a placement. So honestly, food is like the primary thing with this, and you can see we got 14 people. Some of those are kids, 8 laborers. That's not much. A couple of those will mature in the first couple of years. So we'll probably have a pool of around 10 to 11 laborers, but that isn't much. And you can see here, I'm checking out potentially. That's a fairly good location. I should mention here that when you're placing fishing, and this is how this works in vanilla, this is not something that we modded. The little radius here, the more of that that's covered by water that isn't fished by other fisheries, the better your yield is, I believe. And I always try to get it on some kind of corner bend if it's on a river. The best kind of site would be like, you know, something out this way. That's going to be tough to pull off. So, you know, wow, that one would be quite good. That one would be even better, but that would require me building a giant bridge here and a bridge just to get them over there in the first place. Boy, this is a good spot here. I think honestly what I'm going to do is try to build a bridge across here first thing. Oh man. No, we're gonna place this sucker right here. This is something I like to think is a best practice for planning, especially when you're in a hard setting and this is the first stage of your mod. Definitely get your projects in construction along the right side, monitor them, and make use of this pause feature. Like, get it all planned out, make sure your radii are all set up, and track the buildings that you're building over here on the right side. It's super important, and I'll show you how I do it. But, you know, to each his own, but I think doing it is quite important. Alright, now, in addition to the fishery for food, we're going to need a gatherer. Gatherers are one of the better yielding early buildings for food, and I'll admit at this point that in our mod we don't really have any amazing first building food options. That's generally because food in this game comes from crops or pastures or like the hunter, for example, these buildings that go out and collect, or there's this fourth kind, which is this magical generator, and that's what I would classify like our Abbey blueberries and the shore house that makes frog legs. Those are like magical generators, and to compensate for them being magical and requiring no inputs from the player, no challenge, we actually reduced the output of them quite a bit, so they're not as good of a use of a man hour or man month or whatever as crops, you know, things like that would be. So given that, right, an abbey, sure, it makes free blueberries, and you can change it to something else later. Maybe that's part of its value too. But I wouldn't build it as the first building, or second building, or third building for a hard setting where food production and size is really like all you care about. So you can see here what I'm doing is I'm trying to make sure that the forest hub is far enough away and kind of in a... Wow, we have a lot of land here. So it's not going to matter so much. And pardon me, I'm going to have to get some water here in a second. I didn't plan for this. This is my first Let's Play. But I think what we'll do is we'll put it, you know, just somewhere over here. Get that going. And what's great about the Forester one is that you can set up all your other collector buildings for the Forest Hub off of that. That includes your Gatherer. And experienced players, you probably know this stuff. It might take us a little while to get into the mod itself, but I think this initial bit is important. And, you know, we'll at least get a town started, and maybe we can do the other videos for each production chain as separate ones. I don't know what we're going to do yet, but at least we're showing you how to get a town started, and I'm talking to you a little bit about our mod and why we do it our way in just a bit here once I get this initial bit set up. So Gatherer's Hut's going to be a big thing to do, give us food in our first couple of years with the fishing dock. We're also going to need a hunter for that. Also, you got to start stockpiling that leather. And you can see here, I've always found this really weird, why these don't line up better. Or maybe there's some like method that you do it with maximum efficiency. And I always find it hard to make sure that you don't place the buildings in such a way where that some of them aren't reachable by road, which is annoying, but maybe that's just me. And the herbalist is the other thing that we want. We're gonna just chuck that here. And here's a great example of when you pause. Okay, there's a clear prioritization in your first year, especially on hard, for which buildings you build, you know, in what order. And you need food. You just need food. You need food, you need food, and you need a woodcutter and a stockpile. I'm just going to chuck those around here too. But why I said that, you know, about the prioritization, is because in this section of the game, you're going to want to make sure that you build these in the right order, and you're going to pause other ones that you just placed to make sure they're in the correct place and to make sure the radii are overlapping. But you don't want to build them first. And that's the Herbalist, the Forester Lodge, and I actually paused the hunting cabin as well, and the woodcutter until I get the fishing dock and the Gatherer's Hut up and running, personally. So, because this is a Let's Play, I have to remember to keep the speed up so that things happen, and assign workers. But I don't want to go too fast in this part, and I watch so many Let's Plays where guys are like jamming through there at 10x, and they make mistakes, and their viewers have to sit there and watch them fix their mistakes, and that's one way to do it. I'm not going to do it that way because I want to teach or show how I play this initial really hard setup that I do, and why I do my house rules, and how it works, and how satisfying it is when, after 40 years of eating lemons and chestnuts, whatever, you finally get that trader with that seed to get your hemp rope and your, you know, crops going, and it's really satisfying that way for me. I like to add a little bit of a history into what I'm doing usually. I'm not going to do that for this Let's Play video, but I will explain some of the period accurate stuff that we've done in our mod and the design decisions that we've made. So while things are building here, I'll talk a little bit about that. We're just going to watch the fishing dock and the Gatherer's Hut go up, and I forgot to have people cut stuff down, so I'm stupid. We're going to make sure to assign our builders to clear out a chunk of this, and that should have stone and wood, which is what they need at first. So, alright, Colonial Charter, right? That wasn't the original name, I don't remember what it was called. A brief history lesson, this came from a mod that added more seeds to the game, and one of the collaborators on this on Colonial Charter, his name is Crowyer. He had a lot of stuff in this seed mod that I didn't feel like was accurate for the setting, like, you know, tropical, you know, fruits and mangoes and things like that. So I just got in touch with him on Reddit and I said, hey, here's some ideas I had about making these all really colonial available and accurate crops. kind of started from there, and it ballooned and ballooned. We brought, other people into it. We asked this great modeler, Shock Puppet, to help out, and he ended up, merging his mod with ours, and it became this mega mod. And now several people have contributed buildings and production ideas and shades to the mod. We can't take all the credit anymore, and donations have done a lot for this. But our philosophy of this mod is that Banished is kind of set in the colonial era, and not necessarily historically accurately either. Like, I don't consider Banished to necessarily be on the Earth that you and I know and love. I think we should allow for the fact that Banished is possibly some kind of near to Earth, but not Earth, type alternate history scenario. So I generally try to think of the game this way. The early game, when you are establishing your colony, getting your first building set up, to me, that seems to be around 1660, and I'll give you some justification for that, okay? Initially, we called Colonial Charter 1620, and that was really not meant to pick a year, but more to talk about, like, reference pilgrims and the colonization of the United States and Canada and North America and South America, etc. We found that with the stuff that was already in the vanilla game, the technology level was a lot higher up than 1660 or 1620 would allow for. So we kind of revised things a little bit and looked into history, and I did a lot of research about European colonization of the Americas, and kind of learned and discovered that a lot of these efforts really started in earnest around 1660. Although, granted, England had successful colonies in Virginia and Massachusetts, in today's Maine. By then, a lot of the other European powers started. A lot of the other European powers started to colonize around that time. At this point, I'll point out I closed those, but I didn't want to. I want to keep them open for now, so that I can verify their production. Now, let me take a segue here, and we're coming up on 17 minutes, so I won't spend too much more time on this edition, and we'll see how people like it. But I don't understand how I can watch so many players who don't explore these UI menus. Like, there are only so many buttons here to mess with. They all tell you something. And there's drop-down menus sometimes in our buildings, and people don't even check to see what's there, and it just makes me sad. We put so much options into there that you only see if you poke through everything and read all the tooltips and look at what you're doing. So I like to have these initial food gathering buildings up and running up there with their production charts up, so I can make sure that I'm making enough food. Our next priority is the woodcutter. We're going to go ahead and unpause that guy. They're going to need wood, and I'm actually going to place a house. One house, and I do one house, and I do one stone house. And the reason that I do that is because everybody can heat from that house, and it uses minimal firewood, because we don't have a lot that we brought with us or that was dumped with us on the coast when we started the game. This will last until we get through the first winter, which is the hardest part, and then we'll build houses for other people and be cool and modern and roof over every head, etc. So I'm not fully staffing these food things. I do want to get them collecting. You can see we've already burned through 350 units of our 1,200 food, so these guys need to get going now. But my next priority is definitely getting a hunting cabin up, and then probably a barn. And we have added so many barns these days, but the storage barn is still the best thing for like flat ground general storage. Shut that sucker right there. We're gonna pause it for now. Good, I got gatherers gathering stuff. Now, the trip is long for them. They're going all the way over here. They live nowhere, I guess, and they're getting their food and tools from here. So as soon as we get that barn up, it'll enable us to move the tools and stuff over to here, and then we'll build a road, and people will have a much more easy time and be productive. If you don't know, the further distance people have to go in the course of their job, the less productive it ends up being. So you really want to optimize for direct routes, proximity of like storage, and we use our specialized stockpiles, which you'll find here, which let you kind of direct resources a little bit better. All of these things will help you survive on a hard game. And I'm not even staffing this woodcutter yet. It's May. We really just need food and these other buildings to be finished. So that's what we're going to do. So I was talking a little bit about how the early game is set around 1660, and this enables us to, do a lot of RP around the possible European nations to colonize. We ran a flag contest. I don't know if you guys saw that. We let people who had played our earlier version vote on flags they wanted to be included, and we picked the top 3 and added them to our 11 historical nations. At some point in this video, I'll get to flags, and I'll show you the different flags, and I'll explain why those flags are justified, we feel, even in our little alternate history universe. One of the interesting ones is like a Viking flag. In real life, the Newfoundland Viking settlement had failed by about 1401, and all the remaining settlers had returned sickly and malnourished to Iceland or Greenland, or even Norway. And our universe here presupposes that that colony was successful and lasted a few more 100 years into this era. So cool, we got our woodcutter up. I don't need to keep him open, him or her. We've got our hunting cabin being built and our storage barn being built. Oh no, that's pause good. Oh, sorry, stone house is the other thing. So we're going to let them build that for a few seconds. So if the early game is 1660, what's the mid game and what's the late game? And you have to realize there's a progression of technology, even in the vanilla game. As you build more buildings and get more stuff, you've kind of advanced your little town through time, whether you like it or not, especially with this age 1-to-1 mod. A lot of people use it. Makes sense to me that you could call this an actual progression of time. We're actually doing a succession game on our forums. We have some really cool players who have done 10-year terms as governor of a settlement, and it's kind of a collective game. But you'll see if you look at those or watch those, kind of how time passes and it advances fairly closely to actual historical progress. So to me, the early game is 1660, the mid game is about 1700 to 1720, and the late game is about 1750 to 1780. And what that allows us to do is do things like have windmills and have, fully functional bakery chains and things like that. In reality, the American colonies were largely sustained by imported goods. Most of the original colonists brought their own soap and imported soap. They didn't bother to make it. They couldn't make it as well as they could get it as a trade, so they would trade for it. Until the Europeans instituted pretty harsh salt taxes, the colonies would import all of their salt. All these things that you would think are essential for life, they would trust to these, relatively unguaranteed shipments from overseas. So, in order to have a fun game where people get to do a lot of stuff and build a lot of production and have it be feasible, not break the laws of physics or chemistry too much, makes sense, and provide like a challenging, complex thing that's still entertaining to do. That kind of timeline enables us to justify a lot of the later game technologies that we put in place. Okay, because some people might say, oh, well, they would never have had blah in 1620. Well, we can say, well, if they had it in 1780, it might be in the game. And 1780, if you're not familiar, is around when independence movements started and countries in the Americas started to, break free of European rule and kind of starts to take you out of into a new technological era. They had a lot of it's kind of like industrialization, Victorian type stuff going on then. So we don't want to bring the mod to that point, at least at this time. And if we did it, it would be very complex. So they're racing to get this friggin' house done. I hope they don't freeze to death, because they really got to build that house. So I think we're gonna pump this prioritization up, and I'm learning a lot about how to do Let's Plays here, and one thing I've learned is to not talk so much that you're not paying attention to what you're doing in the game. But we do have debug mode, so if they start to freeze to death, we'll fix it. It's that hunter, and the fact that we probably didn't build a road, that probably brought us to that point, but I think we're gonna... I won't place it now, because I have that prioritized house going on. Oh, yeah, they're freezing. So pardon me, this is my idiocy, making this a little bit funny. I normally am able to get a house in, and it just uses the firewood that's already in place. Oh, I know what happened. Oh, I didn't get any iron. That's totally my fault, folks. Oh, and I just removed it because I clicked the wrong thing. Whoops! Bear with me. We'll get some of that iron going, and they'll get that house in, and we'll just pretend that they're not going to freeze to death this winter because that house was already built. But boy, it's only September, or it was only September, and it was 24 degrees. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about the updates that we've done. Wow, 25 minutes. I was aiming for 20. Maybe these will be half-hour episodes. I don't know. We'll see. I didn't really get anything built. There might be a lot of these. But hopefully we'll be able to keep it filled with really interesting things to talk about. And I'll go into depth on the chains. If this is too boring, what I may do is just build a town in my own time and then show you the different production chains once I've gotten them complete or when I'm building them. But leave a comment, I guess, and tell us what you want to see. And you can tell I'm not great at this, but we'll get it figured out. Okay, they got the house up. I'm going to go ahead and turn that cheat off so that they can freeze again, and we'll start building a road so that their production gets more efficient. Eagle-eyed observers may see the new road type. I'm not going to get into that. That comes with the beta and some buildings that we don't have in there yet. So we'll just put that away for now. They're going to get that hunting cabin done. We're also going to have them work on this storage barn concurrently, I think, because we do have plenty of food production going on. And this road will help. And it's almost done anyway. Yep. But for your forest hub, the last things you really need are the herbalist and forester lodge. Now let me say, that's a caveat. This has plenty of trees already here. If it didn't, you would want to build the forester early. But you really shouldn't place it in a place with no trees. Hunters. Let's get 2 hunters going. And the next kind of thing you got to do is, once you get your food under control, you got to get a blacksmith in, because your people are going to run out of tools like ASAP. And then clothes is kind of after that. It's a little bit less important. Kind of a toss-up between getting clothes and getting a trading post. And the reason why is because hopefully we're going to have all stone houses. Now I know this might be because of the more resources mod. Wow, is this one different? It seems like there's a lot of wood there. But it's not. I even do it when I don't use the no resources mod. It's worth it to have the stone houses because firewood is such a pain in the butt to keep up on if you all have all wooden houses and your people are burning it at a crazy rate. If you didn't know, wooden houses burn the most fuel, stone houses burn less. We try to like adjust that with our custom houses as well. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I believe that they're all different. And as you go up, clearly in tier, upgrade the homes, they should get more efficient at fuel and have more space and storage and everything. Okay, January. No crops or anything. We do not have seeds or animals. That's why we need to get trading posts up ASAP. I think it'll work fine on this river. Yeah, it'll come through the lake and it should work on this river. So we might put it somewhere along here. And I'll just get it planned and then pause it for now. Dang, it probably built on like all good spots because I wasn't paying attention. Oh, there we go. Hunting cabin's up. Got some venison already. Great. Got builders building still because we need that storage barn, which will be up soon. And when we get the storage barn up, I'll show you this really tricky bit where you have to remove this and why I do it that way. And maybe somebody watching will be like, "You guys, you're so dumb. Why are you doing that?" What is that? Blueberries? Oh, why did they leave it there? I don't think they like this card very much. I don't blame them, honestly. Okay, storage barn. Actually, we'll have time just for this, and then I'll go for now, and we'll start again. So I always remove this right after I get my first storage to move the storage to where I want the storage to be. And there's some benefits to this thing. I don't think it has a range, but it has really small storage, and it makes sure people walk to an area that you're not building in. Sometimes I have my initial town, not this time, but sometimes I have it extremely far away from where the actual cart was. I just think it's good practice to do it. So remove it, and then prioritize the balls out of it, because you want every single free person working on this. Because when you mark it for removal, it'll yell at you that your tools are gone. See? They just disappeared. It's because they're being moved. It's not because they're gone. And you wanted the people in here to like get this done with as soon as possible so that those tools and things are accessible. So I've never actually heard if doing this multiple times increases the priority multiple times. It does stand to reason, but I cannot confirm that. And at this point is where I put this storage barn over here to make sure I've got the correct things on hand. It's gonna be a damn labor that does it, or builders or what? It's can't remember. Maybe I never knew. Yeah, see, someone already ran out of tools because this stupid thing is marked for removal. So why isn't anybody coming to pick up the stuff? Oh, there he is. What's your job? He's a laborer. Okay, so I do need laborers. Okay, well that's great. He actually grabbed the tools and threw them in there, so we don't even need to worry about it anymore. Alright, at this point, what I'll start doing, herbalist is going to be important because, remember, you don't have any crops, so you don't have any vegetables, apart from onions, I think count as vegetables, and maybe mushrooms. And you don't have any grains, and you don't have a lot of meat, and your people are going to not have a lot of nutrition, so they're going to need an herbalist really soon. We do have plenty of wood and stone to get that going. Just got to make sure we have the labor force at this point. And with this mod, it will take a while to develop a significant labor force, so nomads are kind of part of the strategy. But yeah, that's 32 minutes. Again, I'm Brockens. We make Colonial Charter. Check out our website, colonialcharter.com. We have a wiki that you can navigate to learn about every item in the game that we've added and why you should use it and how it works. And Dennis Delarive on our forums has done an amazing job at the wiki, and also Pang and other collaborators. But we also have a really active forums with people making suggestions and giving us ideas and talking about what they want in the game and what decorative items they'd love to have, and checking out our betas and things like that. So definitely come by, tell us what you like. Keep checking us out on Reddit. Reddit's a big part of the mod. We wouldn't be able to do it without the guys from Reddit, and people beta testing. We're recruited from there, etc. We love Reddit. So check us out at the Banished Reddit as well. And if you have questions, or you want to see something explained, or you want to see how I do something, just let me know, and I'll make sure to do another episode and go through it. Yeah, thanks so much for watching, and it's holiday season coming up here. Be safe and have a happy holidays. Bye, guys.